Kamaru, how are you?
I'm wonderful, man. It's a pleasure to be back on the show, Luke.
It's always a pleasure to have you. So walk me through it. They called you and they said, Kamaru, we have an opportunity. We think here's what it is. Lay out for me the call. How did you get the selection to do this, and why did you say yes?
Man, it wasn't really a selection process, things like that. I believe that I should have been the rightful guy fighting in the first place for that belt. But as soon as they announced the fight, that those two are going to be fighting, which I kind of had an inclination that was what was going to be happening when I was in Vegas for fight week. And so as soon as I got the okay to start working with my hands, I came back and I was in training right away. And I was already training before they announced the fight. I mean, that's so I was going to try to make weight regardless of whether they called me or not. I was going to be in Dallas. That's my hometown. I mean, that's my fight. That's a perfect fight for me. So, I was training already, and fortunately they were just like, hey, why don't you stand by for this? But I was going to do that anyways. They didn't have to tell me. I was going to be there on weight, whether they were going to try to compensate me to be there or not. I was going to do it for free because that was rightfully my shot. But we'll see how things play out.
Now, you have to do everything, right? You got to go there. You got to train. You actually have to weigh in, right? Like, you got to go through the entire process, because even if they all weigh in, God knows if something happens on fight day, that's when you come in. So this is a full process like any other fight camp, right?
Yeah. It's, I'm not, God forbid anything negative happens to any of the fighters. That's not my plan at all. I'm not praying for that. I'm not hoping for that. If Darren Till is able to make weight, the more power to him. I want him to be able to make weight and get his shot. And if Tyron is able to, everything's fine with him, more power to them. But my dreams, I've dreamt that this was the process of how I become champion. So nothing changes for me. I'm going to go through the only difference from this and an actual scheduled bout for me is there's a little less of that pressure, a little less of that anxiety that you feel, because once you have an opponent in your mind that you have to train for, you're working on specifics. Oh, I got to do this or do that to try to mimic. I got to get guys to mimic this. This is just a little different process to where I don't have to do that. I'm just training hard, doing the things that I'm good at, and kind of course, roundabout way doing some of the, mimicking some of the things that these guys are good at. But it's just a little less stress. I actually kind of prefer it this way because I'm just going to show up and do my job.
Yeah, see, you're all smiles, but you're usually all smiles, so that's not all that different. But let me ask you this. It's just my job to ask questions. Are they paying you the same? How's that supposed to work out?
Oh, I mean, of course they're not going to pay you the same as, because what if both guys do make weight, which I fully expect? Then, it's kind of tough for them to pay you a full, fight purse when you don't even fight. So, yeah, it's not the full pay, but, I can't complain. Like I said, I would have done it for free anyways.
It was funny. I was telling this to James Vick. I had interviewed him for like months on end. And he was saying, I can't get someone in the top 10 to fight me. I can't get someone in the top 10 to fight me. A story and a refrain. You were dealing with it for a long time. And then somebody falls out, and then you step in or someone else steps in on their behalf, and the game changes instantly. It's how you got the Maya fight when it was supposed to be somebody else before that. Boom. Now you got to win over somebody in the top 5, right? Here's another scenario. I've made this point before, Kamaru. I wonder if you agree. Your best chance in the modern UFC to climb the rankings or whatever, get a title shot, is just to be ready.
Absolutely. I mean, even now I'm still having that problem. It's not, oh, I had that problem and then I fought Damian Maia and now it's all gone. I'm still having that problem. I'm still having that problem getting guys that are ahead of me to fight me. That's been an issue, because now that for years I was hanging around that 11 to 13 area in the rankings, trying to get these top 10 guys, but nobody wanted to be the guy to take the loss in the top 10, then have them fall out of the top 10. So that was their excuse for a long time. Now, I don't want to fight that guy. Let him prove himself against a top 10 guy first before I get to fight him. And so, fortunately, once I fought Damian Maia, boom, now I'm there. I'm still having a hard time with those guys. Now, guys like, of course, Masvidal is like, oh, I want to call this guy out. Okay, you're on that fight makes no sense. And then you've got Neil Magny, and he goes on air and says, oh, well, you called me out for 2 years. Now it's time to fight. Oh, really? What happened 2 years ago? Now that makes no sense. And then look at a guy like Santiago Ponzinibbio. I was supposed to fight him in Chile. This was his event because he's the South American guy. They were going to use him to break those new markets. Supposed to fight him in Chile. You know, he falls out. Now he's got a bout in Argentina. What? When the right person, like, okay, you know what? I want that back. You're ranked ahead of me. I want that fight back. But what does he say? He comes out and says, you know what? No, RDA, let's put on a good performance. No, you don't call out somebody that's ranked ahead of me when you didn't even beat me. You didn't even fight me. You sit down, let me do my work against everybody ranked ahead, then you guys can have whatever I have left. So, you know, I'm still having a hard time with those guys, but RDA, if I do fight anybody besides winning the title September 8th, it's going to be RDA.
Why just him?
Because, I mean, that's really the only fight that makes sense. I mean, he just fought for an interim title. That's the fight that puts me right there. I'm not getting Till, which I wanted, not getting him. Covington, 4 times I've been offered that fight. He's declined each and every one. Not getting that guy. So the only guy left to put me right there is RDA.
You've been offered the Covington fight 4 times?
4 times.
Wow, that is crazy.
4 times. And he is 4 times I've been offered that fight, and he said no. And even they tried to make that fight again November 30th. They offered me the fight. I said, absolutely. I will wait for that fight. Because actually they offered me RDA in Brazil for that main event that Glover and Jimmy Manuwa got.
Yeah.
I was offered that fight, but I said, yes, I'm ready. I'll take the fight. But he said no. He said something. He was dealing with something. I don't know whether he went on vacation or something with his ear, or it doesn't matter. He turned it down, or he wasn't ready to fight. So that's fine. But that's the only fight that interests me. But once they came up and they said, hey, we'll give you Covington on the 30th. Are you interested in that? Absolutely. That's the one guy that I really, really have malicious intent to hurt inside that cage. And so, of course, they offered me that. Of course, I jumped at it. But then he goes to the White House, comes back and says, you know what, I don't want to fight.
So that's crazy, but I thought and I could be wrong about this, I haven't spoken to him for a while now. My understanding was he turned down the September fight because he would be ready by October, November. That was my timeline. Did the UFC give you any indication about why he ultimately declined?
No. But I mean, this was the thing. You talked for a long time that you want the title fight. That's fine. Now they give you the title fight, September 8th. That's your event. But you know what? No, I'm not ready. He comes out and says, no, you know what? This is my timeline. I'm gonna fight when they're ready to fight. Like, this is my belt. You're not the champ. You're the interim guy. You're just a placeholder. The champ is ready to go. They give you the opportunity. You turn it down. So they went with the next guy. They went with Darren Till. And then, so you have to sit and wait. Like, God forbid something happens to the guys that fight September 8th, and they have to be out for a while. So that means what? You're not going to fight forever until they're ready? No, so they offered me that fight. You said you'd be ready in November. They offered me to fight in November. I accepted. He says no. Once again, for the 4th time.
Let's go back to September 8th. What is your thought process about what's going to happen that day? Like, do you think to yourself, oh, I'm much more likely to fight Woodley than Till, or vice versa, or I just a nameless opponent? Or even, do you even try to tell yourself, well, maybe nothing happens, so try to stay focused? How are you emotionally centering yourself in terms of your expectations for Saturday, September 8th?
I'm completely content. I'm not swaying one way or the other. I'm prepared for anything. I'm down for whatever, and I'm riding for whatever. If Till makes weight and Woodley is, this is the thing. I'm gonna break it down. Woodley doesn't. It's not for Woodley. It's not about making the weight. That's not the issue. Woodley's a wrestler. It's not about making the weight. If Woodley doesn't fight, it's about something else. Something else happens. So that's the only reason Woodley's out. But with Darren Till, I mean, he showed that it's a weight issue. I mean, he's a big guy. It's not his fault. He's just growing. He's a human being. He's a big guy. So with Till, it could be a weight issue, and it could be something else. But that's what I figure with both of those guys. With Woodley, it's not going to be a weight issue. If he doesn't fight, it has to do with something else. But with Till, it could be a few things. But I'm ready for either one of those. And if not, and I'm also ready if nothing happens. I make weight. I did it in college for free every weekend for 7 months or whatever. So hey.
Do you have a preference about who you'd like to fight? If you could choose?
Absolutely. Want Woodley. That's a champ. That's I'd rather fight for the belt than just another fight.
No. Oh, I see. Right. Because if Tyron falls out, then it would be a non-title affair or something, or whatever it would be.
It would be just non-title fight. It would just be a main event, 5 rounds.
I guess what I mean is independent. Sorry, let me clarify the question because it's a bad question. Take out the belt as a part of the equation in terms of opponents, and not as men either, but as opponents. Who would you rather face?
As opponents,
very, very different fighters, right?
Yeah, very different fighters, but take the belt out, but is Woodley the champion? Are we looking at Woodley as a champion? Or it doesn't matter, we're looking at them just as opponents?
The latter, just as opponents, for now.
Just as opponents. Of course, I would rather Till.
Why?
He's a bigger guy. He's right now, he's got the wave. He's got the, the whole country, behind him. He's that face guy that the UFC's really behind and they're really trying to push. So, yeah, I would want Till for sure. Absolutely.
If you were Darren, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And plus, he hasn't really been tested. Everybody wants to see that ground game. Everybody wants to see that ground game tested. So, of course, I want to test that as well. I want to see what he possesses down there when he's put on his back.
This is sort of a weird question, but I'm just trying to get inside of a fighter's mind. If you were the size of Darren Till, would you even try to make welterweight? I'm sure you've seen the video where he went blind, literally trying to make it. That seems like a bridge too far.
When he went what?
Blind.
Went blind?
You didn't see this?
Who went blind? Darren Till?
Darren Till went temporarily blind trying to make weight against Stephen Thompson, yes.
Wow, I did not see that. Well, this was my reasoning. With that Stephen Thompson fight, you were given ample amount of time. You knew about that for a while. You were training. They were basically trying to get Wonder Boy to take the fight and fly over there and fight you. But you had ample amount of time. You didn't have to travel. You were in your hometown. You slept in your own bed. And things still got in the way of you making that weight. Now, when you don't have ample amount of time, pretty much you had 48 days pretty much to train for the fight and get down to weight. And I saw him in Vegas. He was with me in Vegas. And he's a big guy, a really big guy. So now with 48 days to make the weight and you have to travel to America, it makes it a lot more difficult to make that weight. And so, I mean, it's going to be tough for him. It's tough for everybody. It's tough for me. I have to make weight as well, and it's starting to play in my mind. I have to worry about that as well. So it's tough for anybody, but for him especially, it's going to be tough. It's like what it reminds me of is Anthony Johnson continuously trying to make 170 back in the day, and this was the same struggle, and I bet it's the same for him.
Let's play analyst for just a second with you, Kamaru. If that fight does go forward, Till versus Woodley, very quickly, how does that one go down?
I don't know. I've learned to not make a precise. I'm looking at it from both ways. If Till's gonna win, he's got to keep the distance and sharp shoot from the outside and try to land something big and possibly hurt Woodley. If Woodley's gonna win, he's got to get on the inside, and of course, he's got to use his All-American wrestling. You got to put Till on his back, make him feel what it's like to have someone grab his leg to where he has to fight hard to get away, because I don't think he feels that every day. I don't think he's felt what we've dealt with for years and years and years, drilling the same technique for years and years to get there. So if I was Willie, I would make him feel that. Then once you've broke him down a little bit, then you can start bombing off. I wouldn't just stand there and try to trade with the guy we all saw the stare down. I mean, it was like a lightweight fighting almost a middleweight.
Yeah. Kamaru, I am looking forward to September 8th. I don't know what your participation will be, but certainly we are hoping for the best. One piece of unsolicited advice. I had a house fire, man. You got to update your smoke alarm. I can hear it beeping in the back. You hear that beeping on the battery?
Yeah. It started last night. I kid you not. I'm laying in bed, then I start hearing beep.
Yeah.
Beep. I'm like, oh, shit. So I got to go get some batteries and update that.
Dude, get that 9-volt. We don't want anything to happen to you. All right, Kamaru, thank you so much, man. Looking forward to September 8th, one way or the other, okay?
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.